Hey guys, welcome to another Brown's Interactive Tutorial session. Today we'll be looking at the Cape Law Internal Assessment. Now you may be wondering if these guidelines are for both units. Yes, they are. The only difference is that Unit 1 modules are different from Unit 2 modules. In other words, the topics are different. So let us get into it. Now the aim of the research paper is to promote self-learning. It allows the teacher the opportunity to engage in the formative assessment of their students, and it allows the students to explore more fully some areas of the unit that may not be assessed adequately in the external exam. Let us look at the requirements. The research paper should be approximately 1,500 words, and this excludes your appendices and your footnotes. The research should be based on any topic covered in any of the 3 modules of the unit, and it must be an issue within the community. You are then to apply legal principles by the use of analytical, functional, and problem-solving skills. Now, the components of the research paper include a title and table of contents, description of research problem, aims and objectives, description of method employed, findings, discussion of findings, conclusion and recommendations, and their bibliography. Let us get into each of them. Your title and table of content is worth 2 marks, and this is where you're highlighting the issue that you're researching. It must be clearly stated, and it can be based on any of the 3 modules or topics or specific objective. Examples are whether or not there is a need to amend the age of consent in Jamaica, or an investigation into the introduction of marital rape and how it threatens the institution of marriage in Jamaica. Please ensure that you have both the title and table of content, as you cannot get full marks if you have only one. Ensure your table of content is completed. Now, let us move on to your description of research problem. This is worth 4 marks. Now, you must select a relevant legal issue within the scope of the syllabus. You must narrow the topic to a problem, outline the law relating to the problem, establish the importance of investigating the problem, and propose a possible solution. In other words, you're giving the rationale and background information to the issue. Your rationale is simply telling us why you did the research, and background information is basically telling us some more information on the issue at hand. Now, your aims and objectives are worth 4 marks. The aim along with the objectives must be corresponding. Your objectives will be the major points you want to investigate and highlight in your topic. Now, your aims are general objectives, but your objectives must be specific. So therefore, you need to look at things like to evaluate the current age of consent in Jamaica, or to recommend a possible solution to the age consent. Use specific objectives such as list, outline, evaluate, recommend, those. Now, ensure that your objectives, as the word suggests, is more than 1. All right, so 4 to 5 objectives are good enough. Now, your methodology or your description of methodology employed is worth 4 marks. This entails your method of data collection. It should describe the method and procedures employed in conducting the research. Now, your method of data collection will be both primary and secondary sources. The primary sources are examples of your cases, legislations, questionnaires and interviews, while the secondary sources deals with your blogs, your newspaper articles, case studies, etc. You must ensure that you describe the procedure employed in conducting this research, and of course you must highlight for example, the questionnaire, the research design and method of sampling. Ensure that each of your methods are described separately. This is very important, as you need to give full information as how it was done. Now, let us look at the findings, which is worth 4 marks. This speaks to the information gathered. This is where your graphs, tables, and charts will represent your findings. Now, if you're doing an interview, all you need to do is just put your questions and answers in a table format. Try to use the information based on your objectives to be represented in the graphs or chart. And this is important because you want to make sure that the necessary information is highlighted. And so, in doing so, you just find questions to represent each objective, or you ask questions to represent each objectives. Now, your discussion of findings is worth 6 marks, and that's a lot. And this is where you will critically analyze your findings. And this is where you also highlight trends and patterns. Please note you are guided by your objectives. And of course, this is where you're making a comparison between your primary and secondary data. So you're going to have your acts or legislations, you're going to have your cases, you're going to have the interview questions or the questionnaires, you're going to have all of those, and you're going to use those to compare and contrast while being guided by your objectives that you have already listed. Ensure you answer all objectives, as this is where you will need to give detailed information in order to get your 6 marks. Now, your conclusion and recommendations is worth 4 marks, and this is where you make a conclusion on your research of the issue. Give a summary of the information. You are still being guided by your objectives. Now, your recommendations must be detailed. It must be suitable. It must be applicable to your issue. And so you do not just list it. Instead, you're going to explain how the recommendations will work or can work. Your recommendations must be applicable, as the word suggests, because you, from the initial stage, were looking at an issue and you wanted to find a solution. Your bibliography is worth 3 marks. List all your sources. Note if you're using more than one, ensure that they're under the headings, and all your sources must be in APA format. Now, this comes to the end of our tutorial session. Now, please, I'm hoping that you've enjoyed it and would love for you to like, share, and subscribe. Also, tell us in the comment section which topics you'd want us to talk about next. We would love for you to join our exam marathon, and the dates are on the screen. Thank you, guys. Have a great one. Bye.